Welcome to this week's Torah lesson. This week's Torah portion is Parsha Shelach. The question of the week is, how not to be afraid of the world. So in this week's Torah portion, the Torah begins and says, Shelach lecha anashim, Hashem instructs Moshe Rabbeinu to send spies to scout out the land of Israel. So when it comes to scouting out the land of Israel, the Torah uses the word v'yasuru. Now, v'yasuru is an interesting word. So that Tzemach Tzedek actually says v'yasuru has three translations. One is from a tayar, someone that's scouting out. Also from toyar, it creates an image. And also from v'yisroin, it's an addition. So what does it mean? And the Rebbe explains it actually means all three. In other words, here the Jewish people were in the desert. In the desert, life is great. You can learn Torah, no distractions from the world, and life is wonderful. As a matter of fact, we know the Jewish people didn't want to go into the land of Israel. So Hashem told them through Moshe Rabbeinu that v'yasuru, there's three parts to the process. First is, yes, you have to scout it out. You have to scout out the land. After you scout out the land, then you have to put an image to it. What means an image to it? To realize that even though it's a world, and you don't necessarily see God and godliness, and you might see things which are opposite of God and godliness, but you have to put an image to it and realize that everything Hashem created for his honor. And we have the ability to elevate the world. And when a person goes with that approach, then you reach the third level of Yisroin, where you have Yisroin ha'oyer metoich ha'choshech, specifically where it's dark, and specifically where it looks challenging, you can create the greatest and most powerful light. So the answer to the question, how not to be afraid of the world, by realizing that we have the power to scout out the world, and to put an image on the world, a godly image on the world. And by doing that, not only won't we be afraid of the world, we'll actually have tremendous benefit because we'll see God and godliness in places that once we were scared of. And so you can say, listen, I'm afraid. Why would I want to engage in this? The Rebbe says, Shelach lecha anashim. Moshe Rabbeinu is going with us. We have the power of Torah. We have the power of learning Torah, making the places that we interact with a place for Torah, a place for prayer, and a place for mitzvahs. Thanks so much for joining us for our weekly Torah lesson. For more information, please see our website, Chabad.swf.org. Have a great and blessed week. This week's Torah lesson is dedicated to the memory of Baruch ben Aryeh Leib, Shlomo ben Yosef, and Rachel bas Lipa. May the souls be elevated by the Torah we're studying in their memory. Have a great and blessed week. Shavua Tov.